Why, hello there.
Hello.
It's really hot, so I'm going to show you what I'm about ready to do to cool myself off.
Really hot, like
From
attractive?
the country, we have mason jars full of water.
Okay.
It's flash dance time on
Oh my goodness.
Flycast.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So there's that.
That was fantastic.
All right. Well, I don't really have much else to say. If you
That was the
are
point.
if you are listening via audio in the future on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, he just poured water all over himself, and I believe tried to do the flash dance thing.
From a mason jar. Right.
Yeah, water from a mason jar.
It was country flash dance.
Yeah. So there's that. Hey, look!
Right.
Welcome to the Flycast, everyone. It's been been a couple weeks here, but you know we're
something special.
yeah, we're glad to be back though. It's a fun thing we do every Wednesday. It's a couple of nerds here who really like playing Dungeons and Dragons. Have a lot of DM experience between the two of us, a few years anyway of like weekly experience. So, once upon a time, we decided we were going to go ahead and get together and start a podcast because we were getting questions and just like talking about this stuff. So it just kind of made sense. I've been doing it for a while now, since like December or something like that. So, so that's been fun. Backlog is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Some of it's probably available here on Twitch as well. I don't know how long that goes though. But those of you who are joining us, whether it's live or in the future, thank you so much for hanging out. If you have not before, go ahead, wherever you're watching, there'll be a link or something to go ahead and join the Discord if you have not previously. That way you can hear about what topics are going to be in the future, leave questions for us to answer live, all that fun stuff. If you are watching on YouTube or whatever, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. But without further ado, hello, welcome to the Flycast. We normally have a topic that we talk about for the first half or so here, and then second half we go ahead and take questions from our Discord. Again, if you are watching here live, go ahead and leave questions live as well. We'll try and get to those too. Like to interact with chat as much as possible. But for this week, we decided it would be kind of fun to kind of take a close dive in on a certain aspect of the game that just kind of doesn't really get talked about a ton. Most of what we talk about is generally pretty DM centric. We really like DMing. It's our favorite thing to do and think more people should do it. So try and make that easy as possible. The idea we kind of had was talking about running a tavern, what that entails, how to do that, how to do it well, how to make it fun and engaging. Because no matter what game you're playing, at some point, you're probably going to end up in a tavern. I don't care if it's an Underdark dungeon crawl. There's going to be a tavern in that Underdark somewhere. I guarantee it.
Somewhere.
It's just going to happen. So. I don't know. I don't really know exactly where to start with this one, other than saying, "Hey, that's what we're talking about," and then just start talking. Right. So I guess, Steve, what are your thoughts on how to make an engaging tavern? What? Yeah.
Dude, I remember for the longest time I had such a negative stigma about it, but I think it's growing on me again because, like, if you think about it through history, I mean, in small villages everywhere, there's always some kind of pub/inn.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to know town gossip, if you wanted to know, like, if you just wanted to rest a spell or get to meet people, you go to the tavern.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason it's the stereotype, right? Like,
right.
It's because that's, I mean, what we're kind of emulating. That was the thing, yeah.
Right. Bards will play to try to earn their food and a meal for the night. And I think it's always cool to, no matter where you're at in the story, to have some kind of tavern play. I was talking about this last night, actually, on my stream, because, like, I love the topic, but I don't really know if I use taverns that much. And then Tracy reminded me, he goes, "Well, we've spent a lot of time in the Eberron campaign in a tavern." I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're absolutely right."
I mean, it's been
We
in
have.
that campaign. That's been like the
That's
headquarters
been
so
the hub.
far.
That's
Yeah,
been the
yeah.
hub. Yeah. And the reason why I did it is because I thought it would be a nice central place in that game
Mhm.
to garner information, have a quest giver, occasionally run into the owner of said place, wherever, I feel like I can insert him in creatively and just, have interactions, good, bad, and ugly. I mean,
Yeah.
you can, I think for me, the favorite thing about a tavern, honestly, level one's always so fun because like you never know what's going to happen
Right,
because like
right,
and
yeah.
mark this on your calendar. I said something positive about level one.
You've been coming around. You've been coming around.
Well, I think it's because I try to go through the Dragonlance books about once a year or so, and of course I go down that ADHD rabbit hole of, well, what level were these guys when they stopped adventuring? 12 was for the most of them, level 12. So that's a lot of, so like they had level one journey and then it kind of petered out there, which
Right.
seems about right. But I digress. Some of my favorite stories though has been when the characters meet at the tavern. They're either like, sometimes you set it up like you guys are meeting back after years of being apart. There's a parchment to meet back up in the tavern. You
Mhm.
have this famous meal there that you can describe in detail. Like I've seen you do that with an Elven City, which was really cool. I enjoyed that. Something that sets that particular tavern apart, a speciality. And then an event will happen, like a fight, or something happens, or a mysterious old man sitting in the corner,
Mhm.
Aragorn sitting in the tavern of Bree going, you shouldn't have put that ring on, stupid, that kind
Right.
of thing. It's just such a good setup because a lot of times I'll set up games. For the longest time, I just completely avoid the tavern whatsoever. But you still had to meet somewhere, and you still had to
Mhm.
do something. So for me, it's just like a good spot, and to like drop lore as well.
I think it's really amazing, like all those things that you mentioned. You mentioned so many different things that you can do with just one location like that, and there's not really much else that I can think of that would really let you do all those things, right? Like,
Right.
you can go and just have a quick social interaction. You can have a fun little party scene. You can perform and try and get some money or whatever. It's a place where, as a DM, you can just throw so much crap at your players and just see what sticks. That's one of the things I really like to do. Is like, and I've really started to kind of lean into is like, okay, when I play like a RPG game or whatever, and you go into the tavern, there's always like a ask about rumors option or whatever,
Right.
right? So like I've been trying to kind of incorporate that into my taverns recently too. I've just got like this whole rumor sheet, and if people are just listening or whatever, here's some of the topics of conversation you hear about, and that's a great way to just kind of sprinkle in a whole bunch of different quest ideas and see what your players catch on
I
to.
just saw
One does
chat.
not simply walk into a
Yeah.
tavern.
Yeah. Yeah. Not without something.
I love it.
Not without something bad, interesting, or all the above happening.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
Generally.
I think. I know it's had like that stigma or whatever. It's like, oh, every game starts in a tavern, and you definitely don't have to start a game that way. But no
No.
matter what, you're going to end up there at some point. And I think it just does all those things well. I think and I mean, not every D&D world has to be this way, but mine is, and kind of that standard medieval fantasy setting is
Right.
like this, to where the tavern is just the hub. It's less like a modern day bar, more of a pub or a public house is what the full name is, right? And the whole
Right.
idea is that, especially in a smaller town, okay, it's after 6 o'clock or so, it's evening time. We all kind of go there because that's where I can get something to eat, maybe grab a drink or something, and
Grab a
then go
drink.
home. Travelers are all going to be right there because they have rooms and everything. So it's just kind of like this perfect little nexus where literally anything that's happening in the town can kind of be explored. See, I think those are
Had this idea.
a lot of reasons that taverns are just great. Go ahead, sorry.
I had this idea for like an interesting tavern pitch, and I'll run it by you since we're talking about
Yeah,
this.
no, I was gonna say now how like what can we do to kind of make them interesting and unique and fill out and like fill them and not just be like a place to like give me quests, sir, but like actually like fill it out. So yeah, go ahead if you got an idea.
I got this. I just thought of this, and it may be just because I'm thinking super clear right now. I'm just so grateful not to be talking to customers. Gratitude.
Steve literally gets off work like 5 minutes before we start this. So I mean that's that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, yeah. Sister throws food at me. I'm like, I got a podcast I got to do. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a thought, because I was thinking about like a lot of times in old taverns they'd have message boards like in The Witcher. You have those.
Yeah.
But here's a really cool idea though. A fairly decent sized town. Party stays at the inn for the night. A wealthy noble gets robbed in the middle of the night. The adventurers are accused, and somebody plants something on them. And now you got a jailbreak adventure that's about ready to happen.
That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely as you like don't get too crazy with things and just start stealing stuff from your players or killing them in the middle of the night. You can do a lot of fun stuff while they're asleep in a tavern because, I mean, it's safe, right?
Right.
But what if it isn't?
Well, like all of a sudden they find a pendant on them. Like, how did this get here? Or they go, we don't know what you're talking about. The guard searches them, finds like this brooch, and you're like, oh shit.
yeah.
So now like you have this optional, like, what do? Do they try to run away? Do they try to fight? Do they get arrested? And if they do get arrested, how are they going to get out?
Yeah,
just a nice like idea for either a beginning of an adventure or like a one shot or something like that.
I like that. So what are some things I know like you haven't used a ton of taverns or whatever, but you have certainly used some, and you have done things to kind of liven them up and again make them more than just a bed and a potential like NPC who just randomly gives you quests. What are some things that you've done or have thought about doing that kind of set them apart and make them more than just that stereotype of we go there because it's the thing to do?
Right. I think a lot of times it's like to make it make sense, because I'm always trying to I always tell people I need it to make sense for me, so I can try to make it make sense for you. And sometimes I know I fall a little short of the stick. We all do. But those are the things I normally try to do. So if I have something in mind, let me just go back to Midgard real quick, because when I restarted that campaign, I actually did use the tavern.
Yeah.
This time I actually had a map for it. I had customers there. I had the NPCs cleaning glasses, and that's where. And I think how I made it interesting is I took this idea from the Dragonlance novels, because I've patterned a lot of Vax mannerisms after the old mage Fizzban. So I had Fizzban telling the story of the world, in front of this fireplace, and the players could hear. So to make it a little bit more interesting and not make them search for the lore, they got a nice lore dump right there. Now, whether they wanted to take notes. Yeah,
that's really cool, because every time I start a campaign, I give like an intro, and it's kind of a lot of times it's kind of cinematic. Like if you guys saw my most recent campaign start a few weeks ago, it should still be on Twitch. One of these days, I think I'm going to get those up onto YouTube. But I had like this whole intro of kind of introing kind of my world a little bit, and just kind of just little nuggets of kind of the world as a whole, and then a little bit more information about the continent that they're currently on, and talking about like a camera sweeps over the land, and they kind of zoom in on this tavern, and so like I always have some sort of intro like that. But I really like that idea of they're already in the tavern, and as you're learning the lore by listening to this old dude telling a story in front of the fireplace to some other people that you just kind of get to overhear. I think that's a really cool way of being able to do that whole intro thing, but do it like in game rather than like out of game as like voice in the sky talking. That's really cool. What up, James? You continue, by the way, though. I kind of cut you off, but I just thought that was really cool.
No, I think that was just the first example that came to mind because, like, now that you had to spark my memory because if anybody knows, I'm forgetful as all hell. But I watched that first episode and I liked what you did because you guys had newer players and they've never played in this world before. Like most of us, like that you've DM'd in the past have. We don't know everything about it, but we're fairly familiar with certain key points of it. So we're fairly familiar with that. But newer players don't always have that luxury. So it was nice to like kind of give them an introduction, have them walk into the like literally you were giving them that opportunity to introduce themselves as they walked up to get a drink.
Yeah,
And
I like
then,
to do that. I like to do that a lot. I don't always, but I do like to do that.
what was it? Bill Yum, YUM.
I think he changed the spelling of it because I, when I made the overlays and everything, I named it I spelled it the old way, and I'm like, I'm just not changing it back. So I don't know if he actually changed it on in the game or not. I don't really care, but the official overlays are different.
I own my faults. Thank you. I own my faults.
I did change it. I was doing it just to mess with John. Yeah. I mean, you were successful. I think I think that's really good. That's a really good example of kind of creatively using the tavern to tell the story. And I also think so an issue that I've had is I have filled taverns with stuff before, but sometimes it's really reliant on the players to kick stuff off. And I think depending on your players, that can certainly be fine, right? Like if you have some tavern encounters or games that can be played and whatnot. But if you don't have players who are going to go out of their way to try and initiate anything like that, you kind of have to have, like, as the DM, you do have to have a, like, instigating action, right? So, like, maybe you have a situation where a fight could potentially break out, but if you really want that to happen, you have to plan for your players not actually instigating that.
Right.
That's something that
does happen occasionally, too.
Yeah.
Somebody's like or maybe they just don't know like what to do with the interaction, and then you kind of have to give them the gentle nudge.
Yeah, that's some things I've seen with newer players too. If you or just even in a new game or players that aren't super familiar with my style or anything, if I just like give them a tavern and then that's it, and just say, hey, what do you guys want to do? Sometimes they just really won't know. So trying to kind of like give them more opportunity to interact with people. I think putting it on a map when you're online helps, because they can be like, oh, well, I'll go over here and talk to this person, and it's like, great, because I had that person planned out. So that's one thing. I think one thing that I have been having fun with recently is trying to make it feel like you were saying, make it make sense, but make the tavern feel full, make it feel like it has a purpose. So more often than not, think about what kind of entertainment is there. Usually that means like a bard or whatever, right?
Love the spoony bard idea.
The what I came up with in the current game that I'm running though is that there's an artist who performs there. Just makes a painting live, and then there's a whole mechanic that I have written out for like selling the painting that she makes that night.
It's like some Bob Ross shit going on.
Yeah, it's just a different type of like, well, what if there is no musician in this tiny town? Okay, well, how about this? I thought that was kind of interesting. I also like, because I feel like just about every game you have, well, I actually currently don't have a rogue in my party, but if there's a rogue or potentially a bard or anyone with a charlatan background or anyone who is proficient with a gaming set will always try and find someone to play like a card game or dice game or something with. So one of the things I've done is I've actually made 4 different games here that I'm actually looking at right now that can be played in my taverns at any time.
Oh,
Which I
nice.
think is a fun way to kind of make them feel alive. If a party member is like, okay, I want to try and play a dice game, like,
Right.
great, I'm ready for that. And I think that can be a fun way to, and they can be real simple. Like, these are all pretty simple. One of them very much resembles poker, but a really fun way to kind of fill it out and give players something to do that feels fun. That kind of mixed with the rumors thing are things that I'm really experimenting with right now, trying to make the tavern make sense, and give players a lot of things to do and things to learn while they're there, other than just like, I go to sleep and that's about it.
I drink a lot of wine and I get really lit. But then, like, if somebody does that, though, it's like I drink and I go to sleep, that's where you can introduce one of those ideas, though, of like, oh, something just, you don't know what happened, but something happened, and then you
Right.
wake up, and then here we go. We have a mini adventure on our hands,
Yeah.
or a full blown campaign, depending on what direction you're wanting to take it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of throw in another like side quest or challenge or something along those lines for sure.
Right on, man.
I also
I like that idea.
yeah, I also just, I don't know, I think it's a really good way to spread information, whether characters are purposefully asking for it or not. Right, like your bartender probably know
We over
your
here.
innkeeper
Yeah.
keeper or whatever probably knows just about anything that's going on in the town. It's a good way to get, especially like if it's a small town that like. I mean, that's just kind of what I gravitate to because I like low level and
Right.
whatnot. But like that innkeeper or bartender can answer pretty much any question about the town that the players have. Like, my players have like had a few different quests that they wanted to kind of tackle or different ideas, and like they're chatting about it at the bar, and like my innkeeper NPC is very much able to kind of give them a little advice or point out what building to go to, who to talk to,
Right.
that sort of thing, which kind of, I don't know. Again, just kind of helps make everything feel alive and real, and just kind of make more sense in in the game, I guess.
I think another cool thing to do is like if you think about it, like most old retired adventurers kind of want a tavern
Hmm.
because like that's where they feel at home. That's where their buddies come. I even made a backstory about that with my parents actually
Yeah,
purchasing a tavern, and they're at the end of their adventuring days where the adventurers would meet, every other night or so and drink and have dinner and
yeah,
reminisce about the good old days. And sometimes you can like spin that off from there to where they can, and I think also it's also their job to kind of know what's going on in the town because they have so many
right.
travelers depending on the kind of town.
Well, and that's the thing too, because like so there's certainly going to be locals there, and there's going to be the party who are adventurers, travelers, whatever. But they're probably not the only travelers that are in the tavern, right? Like, that can be like that's a whole nother series of quest ideas or just random interaction ideas. One of the things I've really liked to do is have my NPC Edge of the World shows up in taverns all the
Yeah,
time,
all
just
over the
with
place.
and he's just got random information about whatever else is happening in the world, and some of it matters, some of it doesn't.
Right.
I think I can't remember if it was him or not that let you guys kind of know that tensions like in the Wine Women and Adventure Tour game. Gosh, that there were tensions between the couple of kingdoms, and then later on, war broke out, and it actually had bearing on the actual gameplay itself. So, I mean, there's whether you think it's gonna matter later on down the line or not, it can be kind of fun to just
Right.
sprinkle in just random news from across the kingdoms, wherever all else in your world, and that way it kind of makes it feel bigger and more alive. And it can mean nothing right now; it doesn't have to matter. You just a little seed for later on whenever they leave this place.
Or maybe like if they get something like, and this is something I do sometimes because I just don't know where things are going yet.
Hmm.
Like we've done something, I might be a little lost creativity or creatively. The player will mention something that I might not really think is that big of a deal. We can turn it into a big deal.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, that's, I mean, just kind of like with the rumors and with this, just kind of that idea of being able to throw a bunch of crap at your players. That's something that I do like to do is be like, okay, here's like a bunch of like half-baked ideas that I have that I haven't fully fleshed out yet, and what one or two is it that they grab onto, right?
Right.
Players like, man, like we heard about that thing, we should probably go check that out. Great, I know what I'm planning next time now. That way you don't have to like have everything fully fleshed out. You just kind of have some basic ideas and just kind of like maybe try and steer them away from that the rest of that session. But if
Right.
they've like gravitated towards that, you know what to plan for next time and where the party kind of wants to go moving forward.
I think there's been plenty of times I've had things, and I think the one thing that really comes to mind is I've had something planned where you guys, and I guess it's a little sidetracked, but you kind of remind me, it wasn't necessarily in a tavern, but when you guys got transported to that halfling town and then you guys got information, you might have gotten it from one of the people there, and you guys saw that tower. I'm trying to steer you away from it.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best because I already had that planned out for like a higher level. And no, you roll
Yep.
high and get in.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
well, fudge. And this is all me because I didn't have it all planned out. And I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god, I'm freaking out. I'm like trying to piece it all together. Oh yeah,
Random encounters.
yeah.
Right. Well, we are just about halfway through here, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we will come back, answer some questions, and yeah, so we will see you guys again in about 3.
See. Well, welcome back. Yeah. Get animated. What's jollier than seeing a fat guy dance? Nothing. Because you know he's feeding himself.
Fat guy in a little coat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat. Not that you're wearing a little coat, but
No, wearing a little t-shirt that's soaking wet right now.
yeah, thanks to your flash dance.
Right. For those who didn't missed it, they missed out on the spectacle that is.
Yeah, for those of you who missed the very beginning, I got nothing, man. He didn't really miss anything. Let's be real.
You didn't miss shit.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome back. We are back with the Flycast.
Yeah, welcome back, man.
This week we are talking about taverns. How to run a tavern, how to make it interesting and not boring, make it unique, all that fun stuff. Yeah, we talked a bit on the front end there about just kind of why we use them, all the fun stuff that you can do with them, and then just kind of a few ideas of how to make things kind of interesting and unique and different and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool. And we are going to go ahead and take some questions now. So we've got a few here from our Discord, not a ton. So if you guys have any more live, you can go ahead and leave them there. We should be able to get to them. But we've got like 5 or 6 here, I think, maybe a few more. So we will just go ahead and dive right in. I think we'll just kind of go down the list here. Right. First one from our favorite damage slut here. What is the craziest thing any party has done in a tavern? My immediate response to this is cast Shatter.
Okay.
There was There was one time there was like a little bar brawl or whatever, people, swinging fists and whatnot, and then Jimmy, what was he playing? A warlock, I
You
think.
warlock. Yeah.
Decides that he is just going to go ahead and cast Shatter at a bunch of commoners in a tavern. Well,
Yeah.
you cannot cast magic non-lethally, and
Nope.
the minimum amount of damage it did was going to kill all of them. So, like, he just got killed 8 people or whatever.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough trying to play around that.
There were consequences. Party was thrown in jail, all that fun stuff. That's my immediate answer. I don't know if you have another one or can think of anything else.
It's funny. I forgot about that, but it's from the same campaign.
Yeah.
Billy, the guard, the captain of the guard, flirting with Billy's character.
Oh yeah.
Had a little crush on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bill, it was that moment that and Billy's he's a really straight dude, so it was kind of hard for him to play this out. But in order to get the information that the party needed for this part of the quest and Dragon Heist, he literally took one for the team. So, and then afterwards, he's like, "You guys better be fucking welcome."
That was a good one. I remember, again, same campaign where my character, Nameless, had the book or whatever, and you had just said it was a book that, like, when open or whatever, gave me a +1 on charisma checks or something like that, and he was terribly, like, charisma was his dump stat. It was bad. Yeah. It might have been a 6. I can't remember. It was bad. But I decided that it was a book of dirty limericks, and he would just get up at the front of the tavern and just be like, "Excuse me, everyone," and open the book and read one aloud, and then just go back to whatever else he was doing. That was fun. What about when Aurelio beat a bunch of people in a fight club at the tavern for gold, and they all had a club, and yet you still won? Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was great. There was one. I mean, anytime Jimmy's Barbarian's involved, there's going to be a fight in the tavern or whatever. But I remember there was one where, like, they were all using weapons, and we were just pretty high level, and it was just him, and he was just literally, like, throwing people out of the pit and whatnot. Like, he was beating one up with his buddy or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
got one.
There were some good ones. Yeah, go
ahead. You guys were trying to, like, it was in a redemption. Markle was in the tavern with the other party, or was it redemption, or was it? No, it was the last one. But we used Markle as an NPC, and you guys were in this tavern where all these guards were, and your character sat down, was drinking drinking beers and throwing beers to the party because the guards literally couldn't hit him. Yeah. Like, they would swing. And I think he had like a 22 or 24, something like that AC. Yeah. So like it
had to be a natural 20.
Yeah. So you have to try to just like explain it. Like, the weapons are hitting the armor. Yeah. But it's literally doing nothing to him, and he's just not phased. He's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" And he just throws beers, and it was one of those, like, this is a dice roll kind of encounter that I didn't intend on, but it was just hilarious. So I just rode with it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny because, like, the more and more I think about it, a high level character party is not always going to have a high level encounter. Sometimes they might just run into soldiers and they just beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. It worked. It was fun. Yeah, so there are some examples of some of the crazier things that party has done in the tavern. Yeah, so probably top of my list there.
I don't know why I'm thinking of Grady joining. I don't know why I'm thinking of it, because I don't think it was part of the tavern. McGrady joining the cult. Left the tavern.
I don't think any of his cults that he joined were in taverns, but those, yeah, I mean that, yeah, when we did our top five moments, that was one of mine for sure. When the first time he joined a cult anyway. Right. Still from the Damage Slut. Also, why does every tavern seem to have a creepy guy just in the corner listening? The objective answer is because all of fantasy borrows from Tolkien, and Aragorn did it. That's
Aragorn
the
did it.
objective answer. But I mean, stereotypes are stereotypes. These tropes just kind of happen. Just kind of what is your take on that trope? I guess of the creepy dude sitting in the corner just listening.
Jazz, like, you ever been to a real bar? That's a legit person.
That's a legit person in every bar. Yes,
he's not wrong. Not wrong at all. Sometimes you can use it for plot movement too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for me is just it. And I mean, I guess it depends on the party makeup, right? Like, I feel like the game I'm currently running online, right now anyway, unless I have a plot that would revolve around it, I wouldn't really have that. But especially if you have any sort of spy or rogue or secret order member in your game, like, oh my goodness, that's a really fun way to interact with your player, right? Like, you have a player who's a member of a secret order and they recognize one of their own. That's a fun way to bring in backstory and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, the objective answer is Aragorn did it, so we have a blueprint for it, and we follow that. that's
Tolkien
the reason.
Was a genius, so.
Yeah. And again, like Jazz says, that there's a legit person like that in every bar. That's true.
Right.
What do you do to try and make taverns different? Or how do you take monotony out of taverns for players who play a lot? I know we kind of tried to answer that a little bit on the front end, but diving into it a little bit more now. What do you think? What do you
different
got?
Different type of barkeeps for different type of environments.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the main person that, like, different people for them to interact with, but the main person they're going to interact with is going to be the barkeep for sure.
Because if you got like a hole in the wall, you're gonna talk little gruff, messy. See you want to? It'll be a 5-cupper. And, oh well, would you like a fine bottle of wine? Oh, but you give them that that kind of that environment to like kind of like show, hey, the type of environment we're at is rough and tumble, but it sure is fun. Or we got like this snooty place where we're having like a suit and tie kind of thing.
Yeah,
Jess literally spin it.
Sorry. Yeah, Jess said the best part of the tavern is the barkeeper/owner. Giving them character is key. And I agree. I don't think, if you can certainly do that with voices. Definitely don't have to. You can just do that with the way that they speak, or with like different things on offer, right? Like, how does the bartender react when they walk in? Does the bartender just completely ignore them? Are they happy to see customers because this place is dead? Do they just instantly pour an ale? What's being served? I think that's a really fun way to kind of create a little bit of diversity too. I mean, it's very easy to just be like, it's a tavern, just order an ale and be done with it. But, like, if you actually want to have fun with it and make it different and unique, come up with a quick menu. Donjon actually has a very easy tavern generator that will give you meals that the tavern order has, which can be a fun way to do things. But yeah, I mean, what are they serving? Are they serving wine? Do they have ale? Is it just water? Like, who knows? And then even, like, meals too, right? Is this a fishing village? In that case, is it just like a fish stew that they have or something along those lines? Or is it a hunting village? In that case, there's like roast boar. But that right there can certainly bring in a whole lot of environment. What does the place smell like as soon as they come in? I think those are some very, very easy ways to do so, to make things different, but then also just kind of filling it with different stuff. Is there currently a bard playing music or some other type of entertainment? Is there a creepy dude in the corner that you recognize as soon as you walk in? What other travelers are here, right? If it's a human village, just put a single elf in there or something like that, and the party will definitely recognize, oh, there's someone who doesn't belong. That's interesting. Let's find out what's happening there. Or maybe there's people, playing a dice game or something along those lines, something that you can get into maybe, or maybe it's just flavor in the background. Like all those things I think are good ways to kind of mix it up. I think the biggest thing really though is just put a little effort in. Like, it's very easy to just say, it's a tavern. You know what taverns are like. I'm not describing it. I'm not giving anyone any character. You just pay 5 silver and you sleep for the night. I don't care. And if that's what you want to do and your players enjoy that type of game to where you don't really worry about it, then this whole episode is not for you, and that's fine. But I mean, if you want to make the world feel real, it's just putting just a little bit of effort in. Make your bartender unique. Just come up with one meal that they serve, and it's like, oh, it's the local delicacy. Everyone loves that, or it's all we can get today, or whatever. I don't know. But just little things like that will go a long way to make it feel different and real.
Curse of Strahd did a good job with one of their barkeeps, where all he did was polish glasses.
The shell, yeah.
Yeah, and it made it interesting because, like, players who've never played that are like, what the hell is this guy's problem?
Right.
Because they're used to having barkeepers, like,
It's a real good intro to
really
kind of
anything.
like what Barovia is like. And yeah, if you haven't played it before and you're just like, what the hell is going on? It's a very good
what is this
atmosphere, not just for this tavern, but for the entire area. And yeah, I mean, again, like, that's a really good way to, if is it a hunting village that you're in, then the tavern is going to be decorated with, animal pelts. There's deer heads mounted on the walls. There's a large pit with a boar roasting over it, and you can get an idea right away. Hey, this town hunts. That's kind of what they do, what they're known for. You can kind of like build your entire town around what that tavern is like.
I like the one where Adrian put in, why do you think taverns get such a bad stigma?
Yeah.
And what kind of events do you?
There's a question right there. What kind of
more attractive?
What do you think why do you think taverns get such a bad stigma? I definitely wanted to tackle that question. So yeah, go for it.
Honestly, I think they get it such a bad stigma because that's where like most D&D campaigns start, and I think people I think we answered this kind of at the beginning of the show, but like for me for the longest time it had a bad stigma because it's always been done. But then I had to reassess and go, just because it's always been done doesn't mean it's broken.
Yep.
So that's really what it is. So
yeah,
I wanted to touch base on that one real quick.
I agree. I mean, I think you don't always want to do the same thing over and over, and that's why. That's why it has a bad stigma, I guess. Is it's especially as a starting location, it's so overdone. But it's so overdone because it's literally perfect. Where, like, even nowadays, like, you'll meet people at a bar or whatever, but like, especially like in the world that, and again, you can make your setting a different type of world, but in a standard medieval fantasy type setting, the one place that it makes sense for a group of adventurers to come together is a tavern. That's there are other things that you can make work for sure, like they've all taken a job and you're in the middle of a job, or they've already met before, they're already a party and you just kind of do away with that part. But if they're all coming together for the first time, it would make sense, the most sense, that they are travelers coming from wherever, going to wherever, and all just happen to be at this tavern at the same night when something happens. Because that's just, again, like we talked about all the way back at the beginning, that's what this place is. It's a place where people just kind of come together, stay for the night, or get dinner, all that stuff.
Well, and it makes sense humanistically, if that's a word, too. Because, like, think about what most people are doing when they're traveling. Especially back then. The woods are dangerous. Brigands hunt at night. We want shelter, food, warmth, and a drink.
A bath, I mean, all that. Yeah.
A shave. Sorry, guys.
So it's the why does it have such a bad stigma? It's because it's done again and again, and people want to be original, and they think people like to. they like to try and be like counter whatever the norm is,
Right.
while at the same time being the norm, because the norm is to be counter the norm. But whatever. So like, oh, everyone starts in a tavern. That's dumb. Because everyone likes it, it must be dumb. Because everyone does it, it
Right.
must be dumb. That's why the stigma exists, and it's a stupid reason. So.
Yeah, stupid.
And then what kind of events do you think would make a tavern more of an attraction?
Depends on what's going on in town. If there's a job board, and like I said, you
Mm-hmm.
can have random things happen. What if this particular tavern has a fight night, and you have some strength based characters who are a little low on the gold and need to earn a little extra money, and you have some
Yeah.
like random NPCs rolled up to help them, whether they beat them or not is relative, but
Yeah, like that.
maybe there's a special performance.
I think that's one of the easiest ways to kind of make a tavern attractive is have a fighting arena or whatever in there.
Yeah, and a
You know,
town
because that's something that
crier
people want to do. Yeah.
and a town crier saying, "Hey, over
Yeah.
here."
Really, any sort of event, though. I think it could be, it could be really interesting having a town crier say, "Hey, something is happening," or a sign just posted. Maybe the party walks on into this town and the streets are bustling. It's a small town. Why is everyone just like hurriedly rushing? There's a lot of people at the tavern, and it's just kind of like, but it's, middle of the day. That's weird. And then someone is hanging a banner outside that says, "One night only, the amazing Dash Wilder in town." And maybe that's what's so exciting is there's a performance happening at the tavern tonight, and everyone is really excited about that, and the party then has a reason to go there. I don't know. It's just kind of another idea, but anything to make there an event or make it known that something is happening there that is worth going to, worth attending. What does Dash Wilder perform? Well,
What doesn't he perform?
that's a good question. That's a very good question.
That's the better question. What does he not perform?
You can find out a week from Sunday.
You can find out, baby. Spoilers.
The last thing we've got here from Koa, not so much a question, but a possible campaign idea. The thought of starting in the tavern, since that's a typical default. But what if it never left the tavern and spiraled into some kind of Bendy and the Ink Machine like adventure? Any pros and cons you can think of from this? And then James piggybacks off and says, "What if the barkeep is the big bad evil guy?" I think that would be super cool. I think a very easy way to do that is using stealing the Yawning Portal. In the Forgotten Realms, there's a legendary tavern known as the Yawning Portal, where like there's literally just a pit in the middle of the tavern that goes down into the Underdark.
Yeah, what if they fall in there?
Yeah, and
you're in for it now.
And in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, like a troll like wanders on out of there. Like that's not that uncommon. So yeah, what if something truly heinous wanders on out of there, and the bartender's like, "Hey, anyone want to find out what happened?" There's a really easy way to do that, and or just like start with that idea, and just kind of like bring it out somewhere else where there's just kind of this whole other world just living underneath this tavern that no one knows about, or something like that. Have somebody
bribe the party. Have somebody bribe and be like, "100 gold says you won't go down there." They go down there, and then all of a sudden they're in Narnia.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I think that would be a really cool campaign idea. Honestly, maybe it would be better as a one-shot. I don't know, or at least a small campaign, maybe like a 5-session or something like that. I don't know that the idea would, unless like you do end up opening a portal to another world or something like that, which that could be cool. What if it's like a bar in modern times, and you walk into the bathroom and the third stall is kind of glowing strangely, and you walk through and now you're in a medieval
Right.
fantasy world or something like that. That could be kind of cool. That'd be
That could
kind
be
of a
cool
cool
too.
way to start a campaign.
Stoking the fires of creativity right now.
Yeah, just kind of spitballing there. But yeah, I think that's cool. I do love the idea of a bartender being the big bad evil guy. Like, the level 1, the party stumbles into the tavern. They talk with this dude, have no idea that he ends up being like the level 20 mega villain that they end up fighting at the end.
Right.
Like, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of fun.
You thought his name was Bruce when actually it was a god named so and so.
Yeah.
Or a big bad guy.
Those are our questions from Discord, though, and we are just about out of time. So we're going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Again, if you are not already a part of the Discord, wherever you're watching this, there should be a link somewhere. Click it, join the Discord. That way you can find out what we are talking about in upcoming weeks and leave questions like these fun ones here that we can answer for you. Again, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff wherever you're watching. We do this every Wednesday at roughly 7:30 Eastern time. So, yeah, we will be back here next week. In the meantime, Steve over there streams on his channel at Stevo the DMO. He does this every so often. He just kind of whenever he feels like it. Sometimes he does it, he streams Wednesdays after we're done here. I don't really know. But yeah, he'll stream off and on there. And then, I don't know, I'm assuming it's on hiatus right now, but whenever you start that up again, you have Sunday games as well. So,
we're going to hopefully bring them back here soon. I just need time to get moved stuff and then go from there. So hopefully we'll be right back up to run and everything.
Fantastic. So you can catch him over there off and on. Obviously, you can join his Discord as well to find out when he's going live. But that's that. And then over here on the Fly Captain channel, we will be back again. I guess the next scheduled one will be the next Flycast, so next Wednesday right here. But then next week we have my game on Thursday. We play that every other week, so that will be fun. They're low-level party, session 3, small town, dealing with. They've picked up like 3 or 4 different side quests, so we'll kind of see what happens there.
I think somebody got dropped by a lion, and I laughed.
Yeah. And then a week from Sunday, we will be on Fly Captain with the Wine Women Adventure Tour, so that will be fun as well. Just keep an eye out. Again, join the Discord for updates. And yeah, we will see you guys later. Thank you so much. Peace out.